Sam, there's been many times when you referred to the 2018 Wisconsin Assembly elections as an example of an extreme gerrymander. The context is extremely important in referencing of statistical information. So let's look at the numbers and the context of what the election.
Are you correcting me? Are you correcting me, John?
Yes.
All right.
So Democrats won 53% of the popular vote, while Republicans won 45%. And yet the Republicans held 64% of the seats compared to 36% for the Democrats.
So wait a second. So wait a second. And what have I been saying?
No, you got that part right.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Got right. So the gerrymander is responsible for this to a degree, but the Republicans did not run candidates in 29 of the total 99 seats. So the numbers are going to be skewed towards them not receiving a high amount of votes statewide.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so Democrats also did not run candidates in 8% of those races, in 8 of those races also.
Okay.
So perhaps a better analogy would be the 2012 federal House race, where Democrats won by 1,362,000 votes, yet Republicans held a 33-seat advantage, which translates to an 8% Republican advantage in seats held, while Democrats won 1% of the total votes, and Democrats would have even had a larger advantage in total votes cast if they would have run candidates for every seat. There were 24 seats where they did not run candidates, while Republicans didn't run seats in 14 seats. While the overturning of gerrymanders in Pennsylvania and North Carolina definitely helped Democrats win seats in the 2020 House election, the Democrats won the popular vote by 3.1% and a 2% advantage in actual members. So that's actually going back to where it's almost even. That's with the same, almost the exact same gerrymander.
So are you suggesting that the gerrymandering is not accounting for any differences? I mean, and
no.
And let me ask you this, John. Why didn't you? So we have 21 races in Wisconsin, which were uncontested, a net of 21 races. 29, but then you said 8 Democratic uncontested, right? So 21 net races where Republicans didn't get votes. And do you have a sense of how that would shake out if they did get those votes?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can compare it to. I mean, they mostly didn't run in Milwaukee and Madison, so yeah, you can look at national numbers. I was just looking at Biden.
Well, I'm
numbers.
just looking at what's going. Okay. So you can extrapolate that way.
Right. So let's say in Milwaukee, Biden wins usually by about 40%. In Madison, he wins. I mean, look in all of Dane County, he wins by 50%. So yeah, it's usually 75-25.
Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at is that you could have run those numbers, John.
Yeah, but it would have been hypothetical.
No, it would have been hypothetical, but it would have given us a better sense, and you just decided not to do it. So you just wanted to, I'm a little bit, in other words, if you're going to come and try and knock me down a peg, which is okay. I know that's, you do that. It would have been nice if you put in a little bit more effort.
Okay, how about this one?
All right.
How many counties do you think Biden won in Wisconsin in 2020 out of the 72 total counties?
How many counties?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 20.
No, that's pretty close. 14.
Okay.
So Trump won 58 of those counties, but they're all small rural counties.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the point is,
have you seen that map? Well, have you seen that map that went around with Trump, where most of the country voted for Trump?
Mm-hmm.
The actual physical country.
Yes.
The physical country,
mostly red.
Not the people.
Right.
Right.
So I want to go back to Wisconsin in swing states where large cities vote overwhelmingly Democratic, they can prop up wins in statewide elections and senatorial and presidential races. But since there's a vast amount of the state is rural or suburban, Republicans have a built-in advantage towards representation. For example, currently the representational split of the federal House is 5-3 to Republicans. And Governor Evers had a commission make maps to be submitted a few months ago, and one map was a 5-3 map, and the other map was a 6-2 Republican map. So Republicans submitted their 6-2 map, with only the Democratic seats being in Milwaukee and Madison. And the last map that they put up by Governor Evers was also a 6-2 Republican map. So the Democrats are very likely going to lose a seat in southwest Wisconsin, which Ron Kine, who is retiring currently, represents the 3rd District. And the Evers map that was adopted in mid-December had a 6-2 split, with the 3rd District being a R+9 district and the 1st District being a R+8 district. There's also a lot of talk about the importance of passing voting legislation, and I agree that this is important to pass the John Lewis Act and the Freedom to Vote Act, but I also think it's extremely important to pass a law that will clarify to some degree and change the Electoral Count Act of 1887. There's been a lot of press about how McConnell and John Thune are open to reforming the act, but many activists don't want to talk about passing this as a separate reform.
What would that separate reform do? What would that do?
Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, essentially, it would make it more clear. I mean, in my vision would be, it would totally say that the vice president. I mean, I think this is pretty clear by the law, except that there's a lot of controversy about the law. I mean, even
wait. But John, you're talking around it. You're saying that reform would lock state legislatures in terms of certifying the final vote? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, okay. A lot of people will say that they already did that with some of the safe harbor provisions.
I understand what you're talking about. Okay,
but I mean,
okay,
they just need more clarity. I mean, in my book, the biggest problem is going to be certification, and that's like really hard.
All right, well, let's worry about that in 2023. Okay.
Okay. I mean, because, well, I mean, yeah, okay, but I mean, I just think that I just feel that, like, there's a lot of people talking about this, and I just, like, the John Lewis and the Freedom of Vote Act, I guess what really kind of bothers me, I mean, I want these things to be passed, and, I hope that they are passed, but, I mean, I don't like the talk about, like, that you can't, if these things aren't passed, then our democracy is gone. I mean, you hear that all the time. I mean,
yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a little bit of hyperbole that you don't appreciate, because when you dig into the numbers, you think this is still doable, and you don't want people to be defeatist. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the call, John.